We shot a spec ad for Earth because I want to do more brand work this year, both to make some more money, but also to get better at filmmaking as a whole. But the only problem is that neither me or my girlfriend Joya has much experience in shooting ads. On Joya's YouTube channel, we are more focused on vlogging and sharing our journey as we are traveling around the world and currently in New Zealand. What just happened last night?
Last night I got to 1,000 subscribers.
And on my channel, up until now, it's been focused a lot more around color grading before I then decided to not do that anymore. The first step to get more brand work is to create a portfolio, in our case spec ads, that they can then show the brands what we can do and what kind of quality that we can deliver. About a month ago, I reached out to Earth and asked if they wanted to send us a backpack so I could surprise Joya, as Earth is one of her favorite brands. I was very lucky that they were very kind to do that. We are going to do some things in return for the backpack, but this video is not sponsored by them, or they don't have anything to say. They didn't even ask us to make it. So we have the full freedom to do whatever we want to create this spec ad. And of course we want to try and resemble as much of the brand as we can, but we'll get into that a little bit later. So the first step in creating these portfolio pieces, these spec ads, is to figure out what we're going to shoot. And we chose this backpack in the first place because it's an everyday item that we have lying around that we're going to use anyway. So when we're reaching out to brands in the future, we want to use products that we're going to use every single day. But before we start shooting, we need to have a plan. And in this case, we decided that Joya was going to be the director and script this video, mainly because Earth has a little bit of an artistic style to their brand, and it's more towards Joya's brand and style than it is me, so we thought that would be a good idea. So what we decided to do is to challenge ourselves in this spec ad to try and create that and also learn something new along the way. So Joya got started on scripting and storyboarding a short story that we could shoot, and in this video I'm going to take you through the whole process and the different learnings that we had shooting this spec ad. Our plan was to showcase the functionality and diversity of the backpack without it explicitly being said or written anywhere in the ad, kind of giving you that feel of how it's being used in an everyday life scenario. We quickly had a lot of great ideas, but they were a little bit big and some of them a little bit complicated to shoot and would take some time, which is something that we don't have the most of right now. So we need to get the ball rolling, we need to shoot something rather fast so we can start approaching brands and actually get some work. Joya came up with a pretty simple, straightforward plan for 3 different acts throughout the video. Act 1 would take place in a park, showcasing the backpack, but mainly focusing on some of the smaller pockets of the backpack, and thereby Joya taking out her AirPods and kind of getting the scene to go on a journey throughout the rest of the video. Act 2 was taking place in a square with a clock that we'd seen earlier that week and thought could be a great place to showcase some more compartments of the backpack. In this case, it was going to be the camera compartment, but we wanted to show it in a way of using the compartment to take out the camera and then show a real life scenario of actually shooting and kind of time standing still when you're out shooting sometimes and getting lost in time that way. And then to create that artistic feeling, we wanted to do some of that slow shutter speed effect and get a lot of different angles so we can kind of mix it up throughout the video. Act 3 was taking place in a different part of the park that we were in for the first act and showcasing the compartment that is for a laptop or a tablet. But instead of just showcasing that there is a compartment, actually taking out an iPad and showcasing that you can edit on the go and bring your tablet or your laptop with you anywhere you are. And therefore we wanted to have the backpack more or less in all of the shots, so you still got a feel of the backpack being a part of the video, but showcasing a real life scenario instead. So that was the pretty simple script and video that Joya came up with. We went out to shoot the spec ad in the afternoon around 2 or 3 p.m. where the light can still be a little bit harsh. So we had to figure out different locations that we could shoot in, where we could be in the shade of buildings or trees so that we didn't get that harsh lighting. The first act was pretty simple to shoot. We did a few gimbal tracking shots and some close-ups, but we're still getting used to shooting this kind of content together, and sometimes it can be difficult to translate the idea that you have in your head to the other person. And in this case, that was the problem on my side, because I got a little bit lost in the full story when we started to shoot it, as in my head we need to shoot it chronological, and Joya had a better idea of shooting Act 1 and then 3 and then heading to 2. And that's where my first learning came in. This is very much a personal learning, but because we have decided that Joya was the director and in charge of this video, I should have just stepped back. Even though I had some opinions or ideas, I could have just suggested them, but then let her be in front and be in charge of the video. But what ended up happening instead was that I created some doubt in terms of if the plan would work or if it would make sense, because in my head we had to shoot everything chronological, as the photo that was supposed to be edited with the iPad in Act 3 was shot during Act 2. And even though we had some photos of that same clock from earlier in the week, in my head I was scared that the lighting would be too different or something, so it wouldn't give off the full effect. But in reality, it didn't really matter, and we could have easily shot Act 1 and then 3 and then headed on to 2 and have been more efficient with the time. So that's a big learning for me, to just step back and be the DP or the filming monkey that I like to call it sometimes, and just do what I'm told instead of coming up with all these ideas or worries, and then it'll probably work out completely fine in the end, because the person that has the director hat has a plan and can see the full vision better than I can when it's not my own idea. As that had created a little bit of doubt, we got a little bit confused about Act 2 and how to shoot it, and we also lost some energy on doing that. But we decided that we still had to just keep moving on, and eventually we got past it and got to Act 2 and scratched a few ideas along the way to just get to the next place and start shooting there and continue with the Spec Ad. We went on to shoot Act 2 in the square, where the main focus was on pretending to take pictures of that clock we'd seen a few days before. But we were not entirely sure how to get that artistic feel out of it, so it took a little bit of time and playing around to actually get to a point where we thought we had something that we could use, even though we were still not 100% sure. And even though it was a bit difficult to know if we had gotten everything we fully needed, we had everything on the shot list, and we also ended up with some more artistic shots that didn't necessarily fit into the storyline, but that we hopefully could make fit in later on. So we decided to head back up to the park where we could shoot Act 3. Now here comes learning number 2, because we'd already spent a lot of time shooting and it was later in the day. So we're starting to get a little bit hungry and thirsty and getting low on energy, both because of all the doubt created in the beginning, but also just from shooting and being out and being creative and everything. But we didn't bring any snacks or anything with us. So learning number 2 is definitely to bring some snacks and some water on all the shoots, so that if we get in the situation where we are getting low on energy and not really feeling it anymore, we can quickly fuel up on some energy again and then continue shooting. Act 3 took place in the park nearby where we shot it, and even though it was affected a little bit by lack of energy, we quickly got around to shoot the different shots on the storyboard and the shot list, and then we decided to call it a day and hope that everything was enough combined together to tell the story that we wanted and make good enough of a Spec Ad now that it was our first time shooting something like this. The first thing I did when we got back was to put all of the footage on my SSD and put it into DaVinci Resolve in the right order, so I could see if we actually had the story that we wanted to tell. That was pretty much clear when I put it in, but I was a little bit worried if the shots were actually good enough in terms of the quality, because I've had some problems with the white balance on my Canon R6 lately. So I decided to start with the grading and do that first before starting to edit anything or put anything else together. The grade was going to be pretty simple and straightforward, but I knew I was going to use some adjustment layers later. So the first thing I did was head into the lightbox and group all the clips together. Then I could head into the pre-clip and add my color space transform for C-Log 3 into DaVinci Wide Gamut, and then into the post clip and convert it from DaVinci Wide Gamut into Rec 709. Then I wanted to build the overall look, but before I could do that, I needed at least one shot that was corrected so that I could build the look off of that. So I chose one of the shots that resembled the entire film as much as possible, having some skin tones, having the backpack, and having as much contrast as possible, so I could build the base look based on all these factors. Then I went on to adjust the colors and the saturation, primarily using the curves and the color slice, before I then headed back into the clip level and corrected all the remaining clips. I still wanted a little bit more punch in the clips, so I decided to add some masking to all of them to make either Joya or the backpack stand out more, depending on what was the focus in the shot. Before I started editing, I wanted to make sure that I had a song that would work well for the video, and I wanted to make sure that it also resembles what Earth normally uses. But before I could find a song, I headed onto Instagram to look at Irv's page and see what kind of music they normally use to get a feel of that. And then I headed on to Track Club to find a song. I slowly narrowed down my search by using the different filters, and I found a song that I felt was pretty good. But it wasn't perfect because there was these kind of annoying kick drums that I didn't really like. So I used the Mix Lab feature that Track Club has to go in and adjust and remove those drum kicks that I didn't like and see if there was anything else I didn't want in the music. And then I could download the mixed track, which was then absolutely perfect for how I wanted it to sound. This video is not sponsored by Track Club, but I am an affiliate with them, and it's the only service that I'm using this year. So if you want to try it out for yourself, there's a link in the description down below that gives you 2 months free to test it out. And if you decide to do so and subscribe afterwards, it also helps me out and helps the channel, helps everyone. So why not? Having all the clips in the timeline already without having cut it, it seemed pretty straightforward. But I wanted the spec ad to be maximum a minute long, so I had to cut some of the clips a little bit short that would otherwise have flown better together. Then we had this pretty cool shot of Joya just standing still in a square with this low shutter speed effect, with everyone moving past her, the camera, and kind of creating this idea that time is standing still. But the problem was that it didn't really fit in with the rest of the video as everything else had motion. So what I ended up doing was using that shot as the base layer of the second act, and then layering all the other shots on top of that by choosing multiply in the composite mode and then playing around with different opacities to see how it blended together the best way possible. It ended up looking really cool, but it didn't really fully work until I turned it black and white, which fully gave that feeling of time just standing still. Act 3 was pretty straightforward as we didn't have that many shots and everything kind of just needed to be in there, and it was pretty simple to cut. But the only problem was that I didn't bring my polarizing filter when we shot that last scene, and the iPad screen is a little bit difficult to see, and even though I tried saving it in the grade, it didn't fully work. And I think it was a little bit of a shame for this last act because it makes it a little bit difficult to see that she's actually editing a photo from the second act, which was the whole main purpose and which was what created that whole doubt in the beginning of our shoot. So overall, it turned out not really being an issue, and I should have brought my polarizer. In the end, I was pretty happy with the edit and the result, but there was still one thing missing, and that's the sound design. Sound design can be as simple or complex as you want it to be, but I like to go about it in 3 layers to make sure that I have everything I need to fully build out the entire video. So what I first did was to create a bunch of audio layers and then give them a different color each to make sure that I knew what each layer of sound design was supposed to do. Then I got started on the first layer, which is ambience. This is bird sounds and distant traffic for the park scenes, and people talking in the background, and also some distant traffic for the second part. This really helps give the feeling that you're in the video and the video is actually taking place there. But usually the audio captured with the camera is not that good, so the sound design really helps to bring it all together. Layer 2 is then everything you see on screen. So that can be zippers, or fiddling with the backpack, or tapping on the iPad screen, or taking photos in the square. All those kind of sounds that you see that you would expect to hear if you were there in real life. And then the third layer is all the whooshes, hits and rises that kind of help bring everything together with the transitions and with the music to emphasize different points of the video and just help create a little bit more either suspense or excitement or whatever it might be. I really like doing sound design, but that's not up until recently as I started using Soundly. And the main reason is that they have a dedicated app that you can install on your computer and then just search for whatever sound effect you need, listen through them, and then select the portion of the sound effect you want, and then drag it straight into the timeline. This makes it so easy to do sound design, and on top of that, their sound library is just really good. Again, this is not sponsored by Soundly either, but they did give me a pro subscription for free, and then also a code that you can use to try out their pro plan for 3 months for free. You only need to create an account, but you don't even need to use your credit card. So you can find that code in the description down below, along with everything else. All right, I've talked you through the whole process of planning, shooting, editing, grading, and creating the sound design for this video, but you haven't actually seen the final result yet. So let's have a look at it. I'm pretty happy with how this spec ad turned out, especially since we didn't have any budget, we don't have that much experience shooting it, and the few challenges that we had along the way. But I would still love to hear your thoughts, what we could improve, what we could do better in terms of both the spec ad, but also what I could do better in terms of these video breakdowns. That is also kind of the first time I'm doing it this way. So please leave a comment down below, keep a good tone, and let me know what you think, because that really helps me out progress both of these videos, help me understand what you want to see more of, and overall just grow this channel. I'm going to push really hard to develop myself as a filmmaker throughout the next months, and all your feedback are invaluable in the process of learning and getting better and figuring out what to teach now that I'm not doing color grading anymore on this channel. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and until then, take care.